He called himself a patriot. He said he was fighting for truth. But what began as late-night videos in a quiet Pennsylvania home would end in headlines that stunned the nation. This is the story of Justin Mohn, a man consumed by his own echo chamber and the digital storm that followed. February 2024, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. A single-family home sat quiet under winter snow when flashing lights flooded the street. Inside, police discovered the aftermath of a terrible act, one that investigators said had roots not in weapons, but in words. Words shared online, repeated, believed, and amplified. At first, few had heard the name Justin Mohn. To neighbors, he was quiet, a former engineer who kept to himself. To online audiences, he was louder, a self-styled truth seeker, posting long monologues about government plots, social decay, and personal betrayal. What none could see was how isolation and anger were feeding each other post by post, click by click. When authorities announced his arrest, a question echoed across the internet. How does someone go from opinions on a screen to actions in reality? Justin Mohn grew up in Pennsylvania in the 1990s, part of a middle-class family. Friends from high school described him as bright, analytical, even idealistic. He studied engineering in college and later found work in technical fields. Nothing seemed unusual. But in recent years, after job loss and health struggles, Justin withdrew. He spent hours online, drifting toward forums that rewarded outrage more than empathy. There, every frustration found an audience, every fear found a chorus. Between 2020 and 2023, his YouTube and social posts became darker. Viewers noticed a shift in what began as commentary, turned into rants against imagined enemies. He posted about conspiracies, government overreach, and personal betrayal. He started addressing his audience directly, calling them fellow patriots. In one video, he warned that he was losing faith in the system. Friends tried to reach out. Most messages went unanswered. Digital platforms can amplify connection, but they can also isolate. For Justin Mohn, the comment section became his mirror. By late 2023, tension at home grew. Justin's father, Michael Mohn, reportedly urged him to seek help. But the same online networks that validated his anger also dismissed such advice as weakness. The digital world was louder than the voices around his dinner table. Neighbors would later recall raised voices at night, a car leaving suddenly, a garage light burning past midnight. Signs that something was fraying, but no one imagined how far it would go. In February 2024, Justin posted one final lengthy video, a manifesto-style address that investigators say revealed growing delusion and despair. He spoke of betrayal, of taking justice into his own hands. Within hours, local authorities responded to a 911 call at the Mohn home. What happened inside remains a matter of public record, handled with care by investigators. What matters for this story is what it revealed, the real-world cost when online extremism goes unchecked. 2 days later, U.S. Marshals located Justin Mohn in the western part of the state. He surrendered without resistance. In custody, he spoke calmly, describing himself as a man on a mission. Investigators saw something else, a man trapped in his own beliefs. His online videos were taken down, his accounts suspended, but the digital trail remained, a map of radicalization in real time. When the story broke, headlines mixed disbelief with fear. Commentators debated responsibility. Was this the failure of platforms, of society, or of one man's mind? Television panels filled with experts on online extremism, psychologists, and cybersecurity analysts. Each pointed to a growing pattern: lone individuals isolated online, echoing each other's outrage until reality bends. For the Mohn case, it was too late to intervene. But the warning was clear: digital delusion can become physical danger. Federal investigators traced his digital activity: forum memberships, video uploads, comments with extremist communities. They found hours of self-recorded material, lectures to an invisible audience. He spoke of missions, justice, and destiny, language typical of radical online echo chambers. Psychologists later described it as identity collapse, when a person fuses their sense of purpose with an online persona. In that state, criticism feels like persecution, and isolation feels like proof. For Justin Mohn, validation didn't come from family, but from strangers behind screens. In mid-2024, Justin Mohn appeared in federal court. The charges were grave. Prosecutors outlined the digital evidence, videos, posts, and search histories. His defense emphasized mental instability, not ideology. The courtroom atmosphere was tense but somber. There were no cheers, no outrage, only quiet recognition that a tragedy had already occurred. Reporters noted his calm demeanor, a stark contrast to the online persona that once shouted through the screen. As court documents surfaced, the internet did what it always does: it divided. Some saw Justin Mohn as a cautionary tale about unchecked online anger. Others twisted his story, using it to fuel the same conspiracy fires that consumed him. Within days, YouTube and Reddit threads debated who was truly responsible. Commenters dissected his old videos, searching for signs they might have missed. Many said the same thing: he didn't just snap, he was slipping for years. Experts describe what happened to Mohn as a feedback loop. Every post of frustration attracted others who agreed, reinforcing his beliefs. Algorithms designed to increase engagement kept feeding him more of what he already thought. Not balance, not context, just confirmation. Dr. Eliza Renner, a digital psychologist, told NBC News, "The internet can amplify loneliness. People who crave meaning or recognition sometimes find it in the wrong communities. It's a cycle as invisible as it is powerful, one that can turn a living room into an echo chamber." For the Mohn family, grief came with silence. Friends described them as private, struggling to understand how online frustration turned so dark. Local communities in Bucks County organized forums on digital safety and mental health, determined to prevent another tragedy. A local pastor told reporters, "We talk about gun laws and crime stats, but not about the loneliness behind the screen. That's where it starts." His words echoed far beyond Pennsylvania, into classrooms, offices, and homes across America. When investigators examined his digital footprint, they found thousands of hours of content: rants, manifestos, and vlogs, all centered around perceived betrayal by institutions. The videos followed a pattern: first confusion, then anger, then total certainty. He spoke with conviction, his tone shifting from human to almost mechanical, like he was reading a script written by the internet itself. Psychologists say this is a classic symptom of online radicalization, the gradual loss of doubt. In digital spaces, certainty is currency. To understand Justin Mohn's transformation, experts looked beyond ideology. They examined psychological displacement, how personal failures can manifest as global conspiracies. Dr. Aaron Hodge, a behavioral analyst, explained it this way: when someone feels powerless, they search for villains. The internet provides endless ones. For Mohn, the villains were abstract, politicians, officials, and unseen forces. But the pain driving it was deeply personal. The story wasn't just about politics or crime. It was about loneliness, validation, and the dark comfort of digital rage. The Mohn case became a quiet wake-up call for law enforcement. It revealed how online threats, once dismissed as rants, could predict real-world violence. In 2024, the Department of Homeland Security issued new guidelines for monitoring extremist rhetoric on smaller, lesser-known platforms. But it also sparked debate. Where do we draw the line between free speech and danger? Between expression and escalation? For content moderators, it's a constant ethical maze. Protect expression, but prevent harm. The Mohn story sat uncomfortably in that gray area. The tragedy of Justin Mohn forces us to confront something deeper: the world we've built online. A world where outrage gets clicks and algorithms chase emotion, not truth. Where the loudest voices drown out the quiet cries for help. We like to think the internet connects us, but sometimes it divides us, not into nations, but into belief systems, each with its own language, heroes, and enemies. And when someone gets lost in that digital wilderness, it's easy to forget the way back. During Mohn's hearings, his defense emphasized mental instability and online obsession. His attorneys argued he had fallen into delusional patterns shaped by years of algorithmic reinforcement. Prosecutors countered that digital rage was no excuse for real-world harm. The tension in the courtroom wasn't just legal, it was cultural. It reflected the battle between empathy and accountability. Observers noted that when he spoke, he seemed almost detached, as if the person in the videos and the man before the judge were two different people. Documentaries and podcasts soon picked up the story, analyzing every piece of footage, every quote. For journalists, it was an example of how digital isolation can quietly turn catastrophic. Many pointed out that Mohn wasn't part of a larger group. He was one of countless individuals radicalized alone, by screens, by repetition, by despair. And perhaps that's what makes this story so haunting. There was no mastermind, no secret society, just a man who believed too deeply in his own online reflection. In Washington, Mohn's case reignited discussions about mental health and internet accountability. Lawmakers proposed expanding digital literacy programs to help young users spot extremist manipulation early. Community groups, too, launched initiatives to teach empathy in online spaces, to replace hate with understanding before it spreads. The Mohn tragedy became part of a national dialogue about prevention, about recognizing when someone's online behavior is not just strange, but dangerous. Behind the headlines, there was a human being, flawed, lost, and consumed by isolation. His story isn't one of monsters, but of mirrors, showing us how fragile our connection to reality can become. To the public, he was a criminal. To psychologists, a case study. To his family, a son who disappeared long before he ever went missing. The story of Justin Mohn forces a difficult question. how many others are quietly slipping the same way. As screens dominate our days, we must teach ourselves and each other to question what we see, to reach out before isolation hardens into delusion. Experts now encourage what they call digital empathy, the practice of checking in, not checking out, when someone seems lost online. Because behind every username is a person, and every person can be helped before it's too late. Justin Mohn's case will fade from the headlines, as all stories eventually do. But its warning remains that the internet, for all its knowledge, still struggles to handle human pain. There are no villains in this story, only consequences. And perhaps in understanding them, we might save someone else from the same descent. Because at its core, this isn't just the story of a crime, it's the story of connection lost and the desperate search to be heard. If you found this story thought-provoking, remember, the internet reflects who we are, the good, the broken, and everything in between. This is ViewCrime, where we explore the mysteries, not just of crime, but of the human mind.